Hello everybody, it's been a long time. Wanted to sit down today to talk about a new firmware update from the wonderful people at Synths for the Perkons HD-01. It is now firmware update 1.2. And so woke up this morning, missed it yesterday, saw it on Instagram that there was an update, was totally excited because, you know, if you watch my video, I featured Perkons quite a bit. So some super awesome features that have been released that kind of shocked me. I was really excited to see one being the sampler that has been added. In fact, well, let's go through the feature list, which is an option to change Rompler engine samples. So what they've done is on Voice 4 now, you can assign 3 different wave files into the SD card, into the samples folder, and then you plug this thing in, and the algorithm 3, which is on the switch here below, you can get access to all 3 of your samples from 1, 2, and 3 on the modes. So that's pretty awesome. Really changes quite a bit. Didn't really see that coming. I thought this was capable of doing samples at some point, but it's very interesting on how they decided to go about doing it. And hopefully maybe in the future, they might even extend that to the other voices. I'm sure everybody's going to be asking about that. I know I am, because boy, just having one voice to have access to 3 different samples on it and really change things, right? Because along with that, now you have the access of the parameters, which in this case, it's the bit crusher or bit reduction rate. And then there's also param 2 by default. I think it cuts the attack a little bit off the sample, which we'll go over that. But you can also change the behavior of param 2 from reducing the attack to sort of like sample slicing. It can kind of go through the different bits of your sample. I thought it was just kind of cutting the back end of it, but it's actually doing something different. So super, super awesome. And of course you have all the other fun stuff that you can do and mangle your samples. And so I think that that piece is something a lot of people have been waiting for. I know I have myself. Excuse me, I've had a cold that I'm just getting over, you know, just in time for Christmas, right? At least it's not on Christmas. But anyhow, this is a huge, huge update. That's huge alone. So that is super awesome. The next bits are not quite as exciting, but I think that they're very useful. The second addition to the firmware was the delay sync. So before you didn't have a set, I guess, quantize on how you wanted to divide your delays, but now you do. And so we'll go through and I'll show you how that sounds as well. These are all settings that we do into the configuration menu. Pretty simple to do, actually. Then they added sequence rotation, which is interesting. In the manual, I think the manual has a bit of an error that they got to correct now. If you go in there and you look at in the configuration settings for, I believe it's 12, button 12 that you have to change, they took the odds information and they basically copied it in there, so you don't really know what the sequence rotation is until you actually try it out yourself, which I did. And basically what it does is if you've got a pattern, say like this 4 on the floor pattern, you can hold like shift and I can't remember, reset, and then you can twist the I believe you twist the tempo knob. No, the trigger keys. You punch one of these guys in and it'll actually move it. So it may go from here and it'll step, 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 step the more you press it, which I'll go through that and show you that as well. And then there's a mute behavior setting, which some people really were disappointed when you went and shift and you muted an entire track, that if you had it in a drone, it would just continue to drone and it wouldn't cut it off. Now you can change that mute behavior and you can just, when you hit shift and then the mute on it, it will actually cut everything out. There's still a little bit of a tail, I think, but that's a good one to have too, I think. So it's nice to see we're on 1.2 now. This thing is, they haven't abandoned it in any way. I feel like there's still a lot of love in the future for this, for sure. It's great as it is. It's a wonderful unit. I've had it for years. I've got tons of videos. I continue to use it over and over. It's just so simple to jump into and use. You know, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles like some of the other great companies that are out there that make a lot of stuff. But for people like me, maybe that are very busy and want to just kind of get down to things, and a little bit of the constraint just kind of helps me produce music faster, honestly, because there's just less to think about. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that, where you're just overloaded with stuff. This doesn't overload you by any means at all. It's very performance oriented, very hands-on, and just kind of gets you to the point quick, I think. And it's got a lot of expandability in terms of what you can do within the confines of the machine. So with that being said, I think we wanted to start with probably the most exciting. I guess probably not the way to do it with these videos, because nobody's going to watch probably the end with all the less exciting stuff. But I'm excited, and I just want to get to the exciting stuff. So what I did is I went and I grabbed 3 samples, and I had a really hard time with Bitwig and Logic trying to take some of my samples and export them to mono 16-bit 48K, which is what they're asking for. So the process is you take your card out, you plug it in your computer, you get 3 samples. You put 3 samples in the sample folder, and then you need to name them 1.wave, 2.wave, 3.wave. And when you create those samples, they need to be in mono, they need to be 16-bit, and it needs to be at 48K. So I had a hard time with that, but Audacity, I used Audacity, I downloaded it, and that just saved the day. It was super quick, easy, awesome. So the samples I chose, I wanted to be a little bit, something interesting. So I took some vocals, I took a vocal chop, and then I took a chord, and then I think my third sample was terrible. It is really like, it sounds like something right out of one of these voices. So I'll show it, but if I had more time, I would have went back and just grabbed something else. But I think the 2 were interesting enough, at least for me, that break off the typical wave, square type stuff, and sawtooth, whatever, and even percussion, right? Because there's a lot of percussion that you can get to here on the machine itself. So I thought a chord sound would be cool, and a vocal. So I put those on. The vocal, I believe, is on 1, the chord's on 2, and then my Erica synth, basically remake of some of these sounds, is on 3. So let's get to it. I've set up a pattern already on this, and it's a very simple one. I don't have the voices, everything's, I'm gonna turn these off for now so you kind of just hear what the pattern is. Pretty simple. What I want to say too is that the voices, now that we've replaced in this voice here, the modes based on Algo 3 are gone until you go back into the card and you remove the samples out of that directory. And I think you might have to take the whole sample folder out of there. Maybe later they'll make that a little bit more elegant, I guess. But yeah, you can't just switch it back. Once you put your samples in that mode, algorithm 3 in all the modes, then that's it. Now I'm not sure if you skip a sample, if it will actually default to the other mode, save mode 3. I didn't put a sample on there. If it's just going to use the raw basics, I don't know if it's going to do that or not. However, let's see now. Let's go back here. Let's listen to one of my vocal samples that I put in place. So I got this voice here. Tune is a thing. Crazy. I mean, that's just crazy. A voice, like, I don't know. I've always wanted this, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. And here we are. So I'm just going to play around with it so you can kind of get little bits, hear all the different parameters, and then we'll switch and try the param 2. Decay is working as we expect it. Now here's the bit crusher. I'm going to go into the mod here. I had actually changed this already. This was already on the secondary function. This is default, so I'm going to turn this off, and this is when you first load this thing, and this is actually what it's going to sound like. So this is what param 2 does. Kind of ducks the front of it. kind of cool. But I find this more interesting on the secondary setting here. And that's just super cool. So that was my first voice, first drive, and all this is working. All the stuff's there. Okay, here's my second voice. Should open that up. It cuts off. And the thing is, when you're creating these files, they can't exceed, I believe, 256. I don't know why I didn't think of that. 256. So that can be challenging, but once you turn it into mono, you lower the bit rate down. The 3 samples seem to be okay, but they definitely can't be long. You got to make them, maybe a second or 2, maybe for lucky. I don't know, depending on your content. But I kept these to about a second. I'll experiment a little bit more, but I think with the 3 voices combined, or the 3 files I put in combined, it was a little bit over 205. So I got this for... See it terrible. That's my third. I was like, what did I do? But maybe it could be useful. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm writing it off a little too soon. I mean, that is just awesome. So do we want to go into a performance really quick with it and just have a little bit of fun, or should I just go on to the next stuff? I'll do a performance after. So I'll go into the BBD Delay Sync. So let's go in and let's turn this on first. Let's give this a little bit of some juice. And I'm going to go in here. And I believe 10th key on the second row. 8, 9, 10. So it's already enabled. You can kind of hear that's already synced. I'm going to turn it off, and this is what it was before the firmware update. Let's play something. Let's go back in. On. That's synced. Unsynced. So you're just kind of using your ears to sync up, basically. Off. Could be some really cool sound design stuff that you could do there, with that kind of fading in and out, maybe you sample something else out somewhere or whatever. So that's it basically. I mean, there's not anything more to it. You can read online how it gets into the division and multiplication of the settings with the time knob. So that is a sign of the time knob. You just turn it and it just syncs itself, right? Instead of just kind of in an analog way moving through it. So then the sequence rotation is something, again, we need to go in and enable in here, and it is number 12. And the way we activate this is with using the shift reset function, and then I think we press the button. So we're gonna go back and see if I can just kind of figure this out. So shift reset, and then we're gonna play with this one here, and I think what's gonna happen is these are gonna move. Yeah, it's moving the sequence now. If I go up here, same thing. I'm moving the pattern. That's all it's doing. So it could be kind of cool. Maybe in the middle of a live performance, you want to just change something up, shift some things. I haven't creatively thought of anything useful yet for me, but I know it's there. I just need to give it a little bit of time to think about how to integrate it. I love that kind of stuff. And then just experiment. Anything that changes stuff, whatever. I mean, there's got to be, in my mind, there's always got to be something where it could be useful. Somewhere to just explore, maybe that you don't see most people use, they can be just off the beaten path, to give others a different experience and yourself as you create music. So that's that. And then the last one was the mute behavior. So I'm going to hop in there, and that is this one here. But before I do that, what we're going to do is we're going to show the drone. So let's drone something, and you can kind of see how the mute behavior works. So when we mute, typically we hold shift and then we press one of these trigger keys. So let's mute that, right? I'm going to drone the voice. Now I'm going to mute it. Oh, still going. Let's go in here. Let's turn that on. Oh, it's off now. So then when we mute it back in, we got our drone. And now that stops it. So that's a nice little fix that they did. So I'm really happy to see that as well. Now I figured I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with the voices now and just rock and roll with this and see all the fun things we could do with it. I'm so excited to have this. So we're gonna do some modulation stuff and play the bit crusher, maybe do a little bit of some live tweakage on it, and then we'll close it out. So let's start with the voice one here, see what that's. that's it. I'm gonna have some fun with this. Want to let you guys know I'll be putting out something hopefully before the end of the month. Another video. For now, I'm going to leave this here. I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching and subscribing. That's so awesome. This channel was just it's just been a lot of fun, and hopefully it's going to be a new great year for everyone out there, and hope to keep pumping this stuff out. Thank you, Erica Synths, for continuing to support this. I think there's a lot of good stuff that can be put in here. And with that, I wanted to say too that what I think about future firmware updates, I want to add that in. A couple wish list items maybe for next year that I would think would be awesome is, the ability now that they put in where we can program notes in is pretty fancy, right? You got to plug a keyboard in, and then you can change the tune where it needs to be, and then you can hold the step, and then you record in whatever note you programmed on a keyboard to the step, which is great. But I think there could be something exciting where you don't have to use a keyboard. And what they can do is in the settings page, maybe somewhere over here, they could put in some scales, right? They could put in some minor, majors, and whatever scales that are in there. And what the point is that you can set yourself up for whatever scale you want to work in, say it's C minor, and then you can have the maybe another setting to affect the tune, so the tune is quantized on a set of maybe 2 semitones, right? Or 2 octaves, excuse me. And you could just sweep through, and as you move it, it steps from one key in the scale as it moves through the tune. So the tune would be sort of like the time on the BBD, right, where they have quantized it. I'd like to see that quantized to a scale, and you could just go in and just pick whatever scale you want. When you go in that mode, boom, it's just ready to go, and now you can access some of those synth voices, and then along with maybe starting to add more samples into this thing. Whoa, right? I mean, this thing just really starts to take off in another place. I mean, I think the value of it becomes more reachable for a lot of other people where maybe it was a little too simple. But now they might see that as, wow, this is starting to become more all-in-one box that's really pushing itself. And then with those kind of updates, I mean, especially like something like this, I feel like it just kind of pushes this unit forward for a lot of other people out there that maybe were on the fence. So anyways, that was one huge wish list. I'm not going to get into it. This video is probably getting super long. But back to making music. Thanks, everybody. Love you all. Take care.